Welcome to my second garden tour. I know that I said I was going to do another one in a month from the previous one, but there has been so much growth in 2 weeks that I really wanted to show you what was going on here. So when we looked at the turnips before, I told you that the greens were higher than I had ever had them before, but it wasn't bulbing up yet. Now, just 2 weeks later, I have huge turnips. I can't believe how big these guys are. And I was really worried that they were going to be woody because they were so large, but incredibly enough, they're still sweet. So we have started eating a number of the turnips. I found that when it came to the colder weather items, your cabbages, your lettuces, there weren't as big of changes as there had been before, but they're starting to go to seed, which is kind of the point that I wanted them to be, just because I'm done eating them. It's hot enough now, they're starting to get bitter. So I just want to collect the seed off of them. Now, the quail did stop eating my lettuce, but just because it's too bitter to want to actually eat. My beets are bulbing up nicely. The greens are so much healthier than even they were before. I do have one of them that's going to seed. That's been one thing that I've noticed with a number of my items, is that some of them are going to seed before I would normally expect them to. So my carrots are also going to seed. I really think that that's just part of the fact that we went so hot so fast this year. They're really pretty. Using the Mittleider method, my carrot greens are taller than they've ever been before, and they look really healthy. And now they are starting to bulb up at the bottom in addition to blossoming for some of them. My dill is growing wonderfully. My cilantro was growing so well, and now it's going to seed. But, that's what happens when things get warm. This other half of my bed I didn't show you before because the celery was so little that you could hardly even see it. And I've added some watermelon just because I had some extra space here and some extra watermelon. So that worked out. So it's June 19th right now. It was June 5th when I did it last time. And I'll have to show you a little flashback of just how much smaller my tomatillos looked before, because this is just huge. I mean, I was happy with them before, but wow. I already have a little zucchini that's growing, and the plants just look incredibly healthy. There's a lot of other little baby zucchinis started here within just a couple of days. I think we're going to have an amazing crop starting on that. My eggplant, I'll show you a little flashback on these too, because they were just tiny and now they're so much bigger. Really happy with how that's coming along. My kale is still really bushy, really happy. I need to harvest some of it actually. It's time. And then my broccoli, I've been getting heads off of this just like I was in the last video, but more of them. It's getting bigger. They're looking even better. I've got a couple of okra that are still small, but the other ones, they're actually doing pretty good. So I'm happy to see that. And we'll just have to see how they do in our area. The Brussels sprouts and the cauliflower are doing really well. I've got a couple cauliflower that are heading up, but those are just those few little ones that I told you about last time that were struggling a little. Evidently, it's a stress response for them, is that they just go ahead and go to flower right away. So that's kind of interesting. I haven't actually done cauliflower that much in the past. I think it's been about 10 years since I tried cauliflower. So we'll see how that goes. Our kohlrabi are doing really well. We've been harvesting it. This one's just about to the size that I like to do. I like it to be fairly small still. And I actually have a few of these that went to seed too. So I'm going to harvest the seed off those as well. And peppers are looking even greener and leafier. There were a couple that were slightly yellowed last time, and that is gone now. And the little peppers are getting bigger, so very happy at this point. Before we had just a couple of onions that were bulbing up, and now we have all of them are starting to, and the ones that were bulbing up before are getting even larger. I'm really happy with how these onions are looking. The beans are doing super well. I can't believe how high some of them have gotten in just a short period of time. I think last time I had one of them starting to climb up the side, and now there's so many at this point. We've got some of the bush beans here in front that are super full. Even the area in the back where the puppy was digging in is looking a lot better. It's starting to fill in with the new seed that I put in. The cabbage is heading up nicely. It's not really much bigger than it was before, but I think a lot of that has to do with the heat that we've already had. The red cabbage is just starting to head up now. These ones do look so much healthier for some reason than the green ones. You know, they kind of have that rose look to them. I think they're kind of amazing, actually. Very pretty. The cucumbers have me super excited because I already have some of them forming here. I've got some of those Japanese cucumbers, which are my favorite. And their growth, they're just getting so tall. I'm constantly going in here and having to work them around the strings because they've grown so much more. It's like a daily occurrence. It's amazing. Similarly, my honeydew and my cantaloupe are getting very big, very bushy. There's a couple that are still small, but that's okay. They're coming along. If you look at how big some of these watermelon are, that's simply amazing to me because I only had one that had started to go up the string as of 2 weeks ago. So I feel like that's a huge difference. And just take a look at these little Roma tomatoes. I can't believe how many I've got already. So not just on this plant, this is one of our smaller plants, but it's all the way down the line. And just look at our cherry tomatoes. And like I said, it's all the way down the line. You can see all the way down that way. We have so many of them. Actually, the kids are super excited about having the red cherry tomatoes soon. And these are standard size tomatoes. And they're small yet, but just give them a chance. We'll see how they look on the next video. Additionally, I'm just really impressed at the height of these tomatoes. I mean, I'm constantly working them up the trellis. They, you know, once you get to the top of the trellis, then you either work them back down or you cut them off depending on what point in the season you are. And I'm pretty sure I'm going to have to start working them back down. These were about waist level before, and now I'm looking at, you know, closer to my shoulder for a lot of them. My stepdad likes to joke around that I need to go through here with a machete just to get through. Not quite that bad, but it's really impressive to me. I'll show you the other footage so that you can see just where it was at before. My pumpkins and squashes, all doing super well. So many of them starting to get so that they're, again, almost up at the trellis. These were the pumpkins that I showed you before. And now, I mean, it's already touching the trellis. So let me give you a little flashback and you can see just what it looked like before. It really is incredible how well it's doing. See if I can tuck it in there so it'll go up over the top. So my mom always had a saying with corn where it should be knee high by the 4th of July. I think that we definitely hit that already with it only being the 19th of June. So pleased with how that's looking. Definitely likes the fertilizer. The sunflowers are still a little on the short side, but I think that had a lot more to do with our water situation here at the beginning of the season than anything else. They look healthy otherwise. And the potatoes have been hilled up multiple times and still, I mean, they just look fabulous. I'm really curious what they're going to look like at the end of the year when we go to harvest. We created these retaining walls and we've kind of terraced the potatoes up the pumpkins. We've terraced the pumpkins up the side of the hill here, which has been great, but my husband did leave the water on for an extended period of time and created a little bit of a landslide. So up at the top, there's not as much growing because everything kind of sloughed down our hill, but everything here really happy apparently with the fertilizer that it's getting. At this point, I would have to consider this system as a win. You know, I've never seen growth like this before, not at this point for my area.